I know we talked about kind of the beginnings of the small business. I know for me, starting a real estate business, one of the biggest things that kind of held me back was just that fear of the unknown, that fear of taking that risk. So, tell us a little bit, if you could go back 3 years ago and give yourself some advice that you feel like may translate to somebody else that may be on that edge of starting a small business, what advice would you give yourself or to others that are thinking about that?
Yeah, probably two things. If I think of a third, I'll say it too, but for sure two. The first one is, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
I think so many people are afraid to start something because if they fail, they think the world's going to end. And honestly, failure is the currency for success. That's how I live my life now. It's like, if you're not failing, you're not trying. But if you fail, you don't really fail because you're going to learn something in the process.
Right.
If the gym would have not worked, and I would have learned, okay, well, that doesn't work, or how could I have done it differently? So don't be afraid to fail. Your identity is not going to be undone.
Yeah.
It's not, people are not going to look at you and laugh, and like you probably think way too highly of yourself if you think that other people think that stuff. Like,
yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail. Just don't be afraid. And then the second thing is pay yourself. Like,
yeah.
I think so many times we invest in small businesses, we invest back into the business and not pay ourselves.
Yeah.
So really, we've bought ourselves, or we've created a job rather than a business. Because if you start doing an hourly, an audit of your time versus how much money you're bringing in, like, I think it's important to do those things. Because if you're not paying yourself, or you're paying yourself just a little bit, you'll do that audit and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I could go work at McDonald's. Nothing against McDonald's, but I could just go do that and then not take on the risk of the business.
Yeah.
So you got to pay yourself because the labor worth it, and then that motivates you to continue to do the things, right? So you got to be able to eat, because you're like, without you, as in the business doesn't exist. So if we ran ourselves to like burnt the candle on both ends, then we'd get burnt out, and then we wouldn't be able to do this 3 years later. And what impact do we really have on our community if we're not taking care of ourselves on that end? So those would be the top two things. I know that the second one for sure in businesses, because it's a catchy word, I'm going to just invest back into the business. Yeah, you can invest back into the business, but your greatest asset is yourself, so you need to invest in yourself.
That's huge. I love that. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you allowed us to come in here. I know we just got done with our row workout, so but I think it's good content, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, dog.